Good afternoon, folks. Now I have discussion A for you. We are discussing technology and end of life. Uh, the fine line between life and death when it comes to technology. So here we go. New technology is shaping the boundary between life and death by enabling digital afterlives, where AI recreates voices, faces, and personalities of the deceased, offering comfort, raising ethical alarms, and redefining what mortality means. What's actually happening at the edge of mortality across multiple sectors: tech, psychology, entertainment, and law. AI is being used to simulate the dead, creating interactive digital twins, grief bots, and even holographic performances. These tools allow people to converse with AI versions of loved ones or public figures, blurring the line between memory and presence. AI afterlife services let people record stories, voices, and images while alive so loved ones can interact with a digital twin after death. These systems rely on personal data and raise unresolved legal questions about identity, privacy, and ownership. The AI afterlife industry is booming, with companies like Hereafter AI and Storyfile enabling interactive conversations with deceased individuals using their digital footprints. This trend is driven by unresolved grief and the desire for continued connection. Researchers warn that AI resurrections can occur without consent, turning a person's likeness into reusable data, a phenomenon called spectral labor. This creates new forms of exploitation and emotional complexity for the living. Why these technologies, why this matters. These technologies are not just novelties, they're reshaping how society understands death, memory, and mourning. Emotional impact. Some find comfort in hearing a loved one's voice again. Others experience renewed grief or confusion when the AI replica feels almost but not quite human. Ethical dilemmas. Who owns your likeness after death? What happens if a company shuts down? Can a digital twin die? These questions remain unanswered. Cultural shifts, AI generated obituaries, grief bots, and hologram performances are transforming rituals around death. Sometimes offering support and sometimes enabling misinformation or exploitation. Risks and controversies. Many AI recreations are built from publicly available data, meaning the deceased never agreed to be digitally, digitally revived. Emotional manipulation. AI replicas can deepen loneliness or distort memories, especially when they behave in ways the real person never would. Commercialization of grief. The digital afterlife economy is now worth billions, raising concerns about companies profiling, profiting from vulnerable families. Legal vacuum. Many countries, including Australia, there are no legal protection. There is no legal protection for a person's voice, likeness, or personality after death. So, is this life after death? Not in a biological sense, driven, interactive sense. Yes, AI is creating a new category of existence, post mortal digital presence, where memories become interfaces and identities become software. Resurrect consciousness, but it extends influence, presence, and connection in ways that challenge our definitions of mortality. Here's a clear, grounded explanation of the article based entirely on the surrounding page content you're viewing. What the article is saying in plain language. The piece argues that AI already being used to bring back the dead. And that this trend is emotionally powerful but ethically dangerous. The authors base this on a study that examined more than 50 real world cases across multiple continents. At the core, the article says AI is turning the dead into reusable data. Voices, faces, personalities, often without consent. This creates a new form of exploitation the researchers call spectral labor. The study argues that society is entering a mortal era where death isn't denied but is technology technically blurred. People actions are no longer fringe experiments. They are becoming normalized, and the ethical stakes are rising quickly. Consent is often missing. The dead cannot agree to be digitally revived. Ownership is unclear. Who controls a person's voice or likeness after death? Emotional and political manipulation is possible. AI versions of the dead can be made to speak, testify, or perform in ways they never chose. Commercialization is rampant. Companies can profit. Companies can profit from the dead without accountability. The author warns that society must confront these issues now before the practice becomes fully entrenched and unregulated. How AI is bringing people back. The study identifies three main modes of AI resurrection, each with different social consequences. Spectralization, recreating famous figures for entertainment, hologram concerts, in AI generated performances by stars like Whitney Houston or Freddie Mercury. Social politicalization. Using AI generated versions of deceased victims or public figures to testify, protest, or speak in political contexts after death. Mundanization. Everyday people using chatbots or synthetic media to talk with deceased loved ones, parents, partners, children in ongoing digital relationships. This third category, described as the fastest growing and the most intimate. The concept of spectral labor. Across all three modes, the authors argue that the dead are being made to work. Their photos, videos, posts, and recordings become raw material for AI systems. These systems can then reproduce, repurpose, and monetize their likenesses without consent. This can extend a person's ideology, trauma, or influence indefinitely, even against their wishes. The article gives examples such as a political figure being digitally revived to continue spreading their ideology after death, a victim's likeness being reanimated to repeatedly relive trauma for political or commercial purpose. The authors describe this as the dead being compelled to haunt the present to serve the needs of the living. The big questions the article raises. The study pushes readers to confront difficult, unresolved issues. Who owns a voice after death? Can a digital likeness be exploited? Who decides how the dead are represented? What responsibilities do the living have toward the digitally resurrected? The author argues that Understanding what AI is doing to the dead is essential to understanding what it is doing to the living. In short, the article says we are entering a world where AI can recreate the dead in increasingly convicting ways. These recreations are being used for entertainment, politics, and personal grief. The dead are becoming a resource data to be mined, repurposed, and monetized. Society has not yet built the ethical or legal frameworks to handle this. It's a warning. Digital recreations, digital recreation, resurrection is already here, and we are not prepared for what it means. Okay, guys, that's your A for now. I will be back on shortly with B. Give me a bit for a break, please, and I'll be back on with B shortly. For now, Gator Wellness. Take care, folks.